All right, people, that time of the week again. It is Monday afternoon, so it's time for Snap Count Monday. And the news is, again, pretty good. Partially wrapped up in how many snaps we actually played on both sides of the ball, but also in how snaps were distributed out. There are some interesting things to note from this game, so let's just go ahead and jump right in, starting with the offense. The first item on the agenda would be to go over the number of offensive snaps. The Seahawks had 64. So, not as many as they did the previous two games, but still a pretty good amount. Certainly more than they had in some of their more, shall we say, lackluster outings to start the season, for instance. So, they're doing some good things, and they're actually now up to exactly 500 offensive snaps through 8 games. So, not bad. Not bad. Um, I would definitely say 64 snaps on offense. You're headed in the right direction. You're staying on the field enough to where your defense is not going to get completely worn out. So obviously Penny's out, going to be out the rest of the year. Um, Ken Walker played about 49 snaps, so he played a pretty significant majority of the snaps. I am going to say we should probably be a little careful here. We don't need to be wearing out our new toy. Ken Walker is a guy who is going to be a big part of this team for the next few years. I'd hate to ruin that by overworking him. In these last 3 games now, he's averaged almost 50 snaps a game. I would be careful about that. I think he had like 20 touches in this most recent game. Maybe he got a couple in garbage time, but maybe be a little careful with that. Just something to consider. You have reserve running backs on this team who they're not great, but they can play. Use them. Travis Homer had 14 snaps in his first game back. He didn't do a ton, but he did catch a big pass, a 21-yarder, and he had a couple carries for 10 yards, so he played well, did his thing. He did blow a blitz pickup on third down, which you usually don't see Travis Homer do, so that was a little unfortunate, but it's good to have him back. DJ Dallas saw his role trimmed significantly down to 5 snaps, which I know DJ Dallas isn't great or anything, but I would like to see him maybe get utilized a little bit while we're working Walker into things a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be anything huge, it doesn't have to be anything significant, but if you could keep Walker down to around 40 snaps a game by giving enough to Homer and Dallas, I think that would be beneficial. So, I mean, you can look at the total snap count and then you can look at the individual snap counts. There are only a couple of plays where we had more than one running back on the field. So it should be simple enough to divvy up a couple of carries from Walker to Homer and Dallas to keep him fresh. Wide receiver, as expected, we took it easy with the two starters who were playing injured. Metcalf played 40 snaps and Lockett played 44. So they both got over 20 snaps off in this game, which makes sense, right? And they were both productive in the snaps that they got. So you kind of got, I mean, Lockett had problems, right? Lockett had the drop, Lockett had the fumble. It wasn't his best game ever or anything, but he was productive still. So you kind of got the parlay that you needed for this to work out, where they didn't get more hurt, they were useful players, and you paced them. So Eskridge had 19 snaps, not a lot of production. It's not happening right now. I don't know what else to say other than that. But he is playing a little bit more lately, which is, I guess, good. We need to find out. The sooner we can find out about Eskridge, the better. Unfortunately, we may be finding out in the negative direction, but whatever. Got to find out. Goodwin had 25 snaps. He had a drop of a touchdown as well, but he was productive. He was a valuable player out there for us. And because Metcalf and Lockett were able to play so much, we didn't need the reserves as much as I thought. In fact, Derek Young, after playing 17 snaps against the Chargers, only played 4, and Cade Johnson, who got called up, only played 1. So you look at that and you kind of go, well, we ended up not really needing the back of the depth chart receivers, which is a relief, but I'm still anticipating there may come a moment this year where we do need them. The injuries that Metcalf and Lockett have will not necessarily go away with time, especially if they're not resting very much. And tight end is basically what we've come to expect. Will Dissly plays the most snaps by a very small margin. Fant plays a few less. In this game, Dissly played 50, played fairly well. Fant had 46, made a couple catches. Parkinson had 23, made one catch. And the pattern is pretty consistent now. Disley plays about 2/3 of the snaps. Fant plays about 60 to 62%. And Parkinson plays a little more than 1/3 of the snaps. And they all get involved in almost every game we play. So, pretty sweet arrangement we have right now. And because of this, where the Seahawks, I believe, are using multiple tight end sets more than anyone else in the NFL, we can survive a game from our wide receivers where nobody can play more than 44 snaps, where you have injuries limiting what you can do at receiver. You can survive because of what we have going on at tight end. 3 productive, capable guys. So, excuse me. Pretty exciting there. That's something that was talked about a lot last year, but it didn't fully manifest. This year it is fully manifesting. And I can honestly say there's no other team in the NFL utilizing tight ends as much as we are. All right, defense. 65 total snaps, so almost equilibrium. 65 snaps for this defense is actually, other than the Week 3 Falcons game, a season low. So it's a nice improvement from all these games of 70 plus. So that's good. 557 snaps total so far this year. Okay, starting with the defensive line, Poona Ford played a little more than half the game, 34 snaps. Played all right, seemed to me getting better, a little bit better. Al Woods and Brian Monet, though, not big contributors. Al Woods played about 1/3 of the snaps. Brian Monet played about, 20%. So both of these guys, Al Woods and Brian Monet, are 2 biggest defensive linemen. Monet's probably one of the biggest players in the NFL. They're not playing that much, and we are shutting down the run still. I mean, that's awesome. Because earlier in the year, we couldn't stop the run no matter who was playing. Now it's like we're stopping the run no matter who's playing. And obviously part of it is those guys come off the field on the pass rush packages, and we've been able to unveil our pass rush package a lot more. But the bottom line is this. We are stopping the run without leaning too heavily on any one, zero tech, one tech type defensive tackle. So I'm going to call that good news. I'm going to say that's a positive. Because we're able to maintain our run defense without heavily leaning on one of these guys who is a one-dimensional player like Monet and Woods mostly are. Shelby Harris got 40 snaps, so healthy amount of the snaps, close to 2/3. Quentin Jefferson played 38, seemed to play decent. He's kind of just another guy in there on the defensive line. He's okay. Miles Adams was inactive, which is disappointing because he's been playing better lately. The last 3 games, I actually think he was doing pretty good. LJ Collier took his place and got 18 snaps. Now, he was somewhat productive. He actually made a couple plays. He had a quarterback hit and a pass breakup, I believe. But, yeah. I would like to see Miles Adams out there more. He's kind of exciting to me in a way that Collier just hasn't been since he got here. So we didn't lean too heavily on any one defensive lineman, and we got the job done. So that's definitely exciting. These are the kinds of things that happen when you can judiciously use your 2-man fronts. When you can unveil the 2-man front in a situation where it's not going to bite you because it's 3rd and long, or you have a big lead and you know the other team has to pass. It is very helpful. It unleashes your pass rush. Now, the pass rush yesterday was a mixed bag, I understand that. But conceptually, if you're able to do that without compromising your run defense, that's really good. So that's one thing we did. Edge rushers. Taylor played even less than I thought he did. He played 3 snaps and then he tapped out. There were actually a few conspiracy theories about this. Some people were saying, oh, he's going to get traded today. That's why we pulled him out. We didn't want him to get hurt. We're going to trade him to, somebody suggested, Darrell Taylor and Sidney Jones to Denver for Bradley Chubb. Darrell Taylor to, well, it can't be Roquan Smith now. We know that. But a lot of people thought we're going to trade Darrell Taylor, and we just want to take him out in case he gets hurt. I don't know if that's the case, but I do know he barely played, and the defense suffered for it because he is a good pass rusher. You would not have seen Daniel Jones sit back in the pocket for 8 seconds on some of those plays if Taylor was in there. Nwosu played most of the game with 52 snaps. Still one of the hardest working men on the defense. Still playing really well. Mafe played his 28 snaps, which sounds about right for a player of his experience level. less than half the snaps, but still a good amount. Playing fairly well, by the way. And the only other edge player to play was Bruce Irvin, who ended up playing almost the whole game, 47 snaps, and he held up. He made plays. He did good things. So huge credit to Bruce Irvin for hanging in there. That could not have been easy. Inside linebacker, Jordan Brooks played the whole game, 65 snaps like he pretty much always does. Barton played about half the game, 33 snaps. So, hey, we've cut his snaps, and we've seen better returns on it. I think Barton is playing better now that he's not on the field every snap. He's not great. Maybe he's not even good, but he's better. And right now, that's valuable. So I think that's been a nice adjustment to this defense. Cornerback-wise, the starters played every snap. Woolen and Jackson. Kobe played 47, so a big chunk of the game was a nickel defender. And Ryan Neal missed 10 snaps because he got hurt twice at safety, so he played 55. And his spot was temporarily occupied for a handful of plays by Josh Jones, who ended up playing 26 snaps. So decent chunk of the game, like 33 to about 35, 40% of the game. And I didn't notice him do anything terrible, so that's a step in the right direction. And Quandary Diggs played every snap like he pretty much always does, and has so far this year. And that's it for Snap Count Monday. Some encouraging signs, some things that I really like. The adjustments this team made continue to work. So let's hope it continues to work until the end of the year, and this defense might actually be really special. So it was a frustrating start to the year, but that's why you hang with it. That's why you make little adjustments to it. That's why you do these little tweaks. Because instead of just completely blowing up the defense and going back to the old stuff like some people suggested, I think we have a better product now than we would have had we done that. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.